Mother's Day is almost here. Well, Steven Singer Jewelers wants to help you tell moms in your life every single day how appreciated they are. He's introducing his brand new limited edition 24 karat gold dipped blue moon rose for Mother's Day. Skip the flowers that die in a week. These last forever. Steven Singer Jewelers signature gold dipped roses. They're real roses dipped in real 24 karat gold, and they're guaranteed to last a lifetime. Give her something she can look at and remember how loved she is all year long. Picture a brilliantly blue rose, bright blue rose with diamond-like sparkles. Blue roses symbolize rarity and admiration, which makes it the perfect gift to honor moms. This forever gift is a real long-stemmed rose, and it's dipped in 24 karat pure gold. I don't know how they do it. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of Terminator 2, I guess, but he does it. Steven has his full lifetime guarantee. It comes to you in an impressive gift box and your own personal Mother's Day note. Shipping's always complimentary. That means free, yes. Order now exclusively at IHateStevenSinger.com. Hurry, because these will not be restocked and supplies are limited. Nothing says I love you like a real authentic Steven Singer 24 karat gold dipped rose that lasts forever. Only available from Steven Singer Jewelers in Philly or online at IHateStevenSinger.com.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ooh, yes. The Anthony Cumia Show. We're back another Sunday. Boy, them weeks, they whip on by. I tell you, kids, enjoy every minute of it because it goes by very quickly once you... Yep. It certainly does, old Anthony. We often wonder about that, I guess, you know. The older you get, the quicker time goes by. I think it's because you don't... You're not looking forward to as much. I think you're trying to put a lot of stuff off. And everyone knows, you know, ever since you were a kid, when you look forward to things, oh, my God, it takes forever. Your birthday, Christmas, summer vacation, and you just want to, you know, you want it to get there as quickly as possible, and then it seems like it takes forever. Then you get older, and you're just putting things off. You want bills and all the nastiness that comes with some aspects of adulthood. You want to kind of put those off. You don't want them coming around very quickly. And when you do that, you know, time just seems to blow right past you. So that's my theory. Boy, today, what a show. Tonight, actually. I just looked outside. It's still light out. So to me, it's today. I enjoy this time of year so much. But tonight, Drea de Matteo is on the show. Adriana from The Sopranos, of course. Any cast member of The Sopranos is welcome on my show. That is for sure. A lot of stuff going on in her life. And obviously, you know, I want to talk Sopranos. People from The Sopranos have to be sick of it. I think about it, and I think about when The Sopranos came out. I mean, you know, the pilot episode was filmed in, 98? 97, 98? The show comes out in 99. And think back to what you were doing around that time. I guess I was at WNEW in New York City, the Opie and Anthony show there. And, I think if all anyone talked to me about was the O&A show from, you know, NEW, not even the satellite radio years or anything else like that, I might get a little tired of it. Got to be honest. You're all nice and cordial to people. You know, I saw a lot of people down in Boca. I was down in Boca Raton, Florida, over the past week. Did a comedy show down there with Josh Denny and Gavin McInnes. And it was a great time. Met a lot of, you know, great fans. They appreciate you and what you do. And some people, you know, they bring up stuff from literally 35 years ago. And I guess, you know, most people smile and say thank you. And you should. You should be appreciative of people recognizing what you do and what you've done. But, you know, that's me and the O&A show. That's nowhere near Sopranos level celebrity. So it's just got to be constant. I saw Steve Sharippa on a show recently, and the hosts of the podcast were asking him, they go, yeah, I know you're sick of it, but I just got to ask you a Sopranos thing. And he didn't even say, like, no, that's okay. Like, I would do that. You know, I know you're probably sick of it, but I'd be like, no, it's cool, man. It's cool. I think Sharippa's past the point where he even says it's cool. I think it's just like, I've been doing so many other things. Why? Why do they always ask me about The Sopranos? But, you know, it's one of those crosses to bear that people don't, I think can't really relate to. They go, oh, I would love to have that problem. Yeah, until that's your problem, then it's probably kind of a pain in the ass. But, yeah, Drea de Matteo, Adriana, one of the, I guess, most, I don't know, sympathetic. She's not innocent on the show. That's for sure. No one is innocent on The Sopranos. I don't think there's one person you could truly say, boy, that poor bastard was involved with those people, and it was terrible for them. So I don't think anyone was innocent, but she definitely, Adriana, the character, definitely had the sympathy of a lot of the viewers, and obviously one of the most brutal death sequences, even though you don't see it. It was pretty brutal. I think we all know that. But we'll talk to her about that. Other things, she was in, of course, Sons of Anarchy, another just crazy, very graphically violent program. But, yeah, we'll talk to her in a bit. I said I went down to Florida, and I hate talking about the plane because it's so, how about those airline peanuts? What is up with the flight attendants? Yeah, everything's been done, but when it comes to air travel, but I got to tell you, it's just getting worse. It's getting worse and worse having to go through the whole rigmarole of the airport, and you do everything you can to speed it up. They give you Clear, you know. How many people have Clear or TSA, whatever it is, check, and you blast through pretty quickly. When I first got it, then it just becomes the new normal, and you're standing on a line again. So there's that, and my flight was delayed leaving Fort Lauderdale for Atlanta because I had to make a stop. And so when I got to Atlanta, I missed the connecting flight, and there wasn't another one until very late, so I just decided to stay in Atlanta overnight and catch a flight in the morning, which I did. Now, I don't want to sound hoity-toity or upper crusty or stuck up, but I usually fly first class. Thank you. I could hear the applause from my studio. And there's a reason. It isn't because of the service you get. I mean, that's a thing of the past. I have looked at videos and old film clips from days gone by of amazing service you would get in first class. Here comes the carving board with all the roast beef you could eat. Look at this child eating her strawberry shortcake. It's done. It's over. There is no first class like that anymore. It's over, Johnny. And it's kind of sad. I think that was one of those institutions of America, a little bit of decadence. You scrape up enough money to fly first class, and, you know, It says it right in there. First class. It's a class-oriented thing. Air travel was like boat travel in the early days. There were classes. You want to be down in the bilge, or you want to be up in first class, eating with Rose and her family on the Titanic. But air travel was like that, and they sold it as this amazing thing called first class. And it's gone. But I still get it just for a couple of reasons. The seats are wider. You're not sitting right on top of somebody. And you board first. And you get out first because you're up at the front of the plane. That's really the only reasons anyone gets first class. And I could peek into the cockpit and see if my pilot is to my liking. I don't want any DEI pilots. So I like being able to lean out into the aisle and see Chuck Yeager or Sully Sullenberger or another pilot that I know. Okay, I can relax. I don't want to see no dame in there. I don't want to see anybody that I'm not sure they got the job through their capabilities. Yeah, merit-based. I don't know about that. So I like that part of first class. But I couldn't take it. I had to take the only seat that was left to fly back home from Atlanta. That seat was between two of the biggest, fattest guys. And, you know, there's only so much you could do about it. But it goes back to like a bigger issue. Just why are we a nation of slobs? Why the hell are we a country that has just lost all touch with trying to present themselves in some human form? What are the odds, you know, that there's going to be 3 seats, I'm going to get the center seat, and both people are going to be gigantic sitting on either side of me? Well, the odds are very good, apparently, because we live in a country where people have no shame about being giant slobs these days. Oh, it's annoying. So I sat in there like I was in a big, fat convection oven. They both of them had to fold their arms over their body, or else they'd really be laying over into my seat. But the back under armpit fat was against my shoulders on both sides. Disgusting. It was terrible. Just a terrible, terrible flight. Thank God it was just 30 minutes. But boy, what a tough 30 minutes. But it just reinforced my whole thing that I enjoy first class. I really do. Today, I want to delve into, when we go to the phones in a little bit, I want to delve into conspiracy theories. I'm not turning into Art Bell or anything. Don't worry. But there's just so much out there right now in the way of conspiracies. And back in the old days, I don't know, what was it, on a mimeograph on your office wall? Like, where did conspiracy theories, how did they get spread around years ago? Now it's easy, so a lot of people believe in it. The majority of the country actually believe in some conspiracy theories. So, you know, obviously 9/11, Building 7, contrails, chemtrails. I got that from Lionel, who has a show right here on this very station. Lionel kind of got me into looking at this chemtrail thing. And it's very interesting. I didn't believe an ounce of it when he first said it. I thought he was a mental patient. I still do sometimes. But I love Lionel. But, yeah, conspiracy theories. So if you have any questions or comments on that, get them ready and give us a call. I should have had the number, shouldn't I? I'll get that to you. I usually write it down in front of my fizz, but I forgot. 1-800-848-9222. From the secret voice in my ear. Yeah, that's the number. Give us a call, and we'll get to that. Clown of the Week coming up next, so don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. Yeah. Anthony Cumia Show. People say it's Drea de Matteo. I heard Dre. I don't know. I'll ask her. Easy enough. It looks like Drea, but I heard Dre. We will know in moments when she joins us very shortly on this very program. But first, of course, Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Again, the most difficult job that I have is choosing Clown of the Week because, I don't have to tell you. Watch the news, scroll through your social media, and you decide. It's a 15-way tie on any given day as to who could be the clown. But, this one, she's back, better than ever. She disappeared for a little bit after her failed presidential run. That's right, Kamala Harris. Kamala, see? I don't know. I know it's Kamala, but I always said Kamala, just to annoy people that were voting for her. She's back. This is a whole thing. You want to talk about conspiracy theories? Here's my theory on why we're hearing from people like Jasmine Crockett and Kamala Harris and all these clowns that are coming out of the woodwork from the left Democrat Party. They're going to stake their claim on the 2028 presidency. We know this. You see AOC marching around with Bernie Sanders, and they're putting out videos that look like presidential campaign commercials. So, they got this idea that that's what they're going to do, and that's what the party wants, and they'll be nominated. Truth be told, the powers that be in the Democrat Party know how ridiculous and asinine these people sound. They get out there. It's literally the same playbook they've been running forever. It's the playbook that lost them the election last year. And they know damn well they're not going to put AOC or Kamala or Jasmine Crockett or Bernie Sanders or any of these clowns up on the Dem ticket in 2028. But they have a strategy. If they put these people on the front lines and present them as, here are your Democrat presidential candidates for 2028, you do it early now. It's, 3.5 years till the election. Then, with about a year to go, they're going to pop some guy out that seems so reasonable and so center line because he's just not being as insane as the left that we're seeing now. They'll come out and talk about real issues, the economy, the border, and people will look at this Democrat, whoever it is, and go, oh, my God, they don't sound insane. Meanwhile, they're very left anyway. They'll be left and what we're used to with Democrats. But it's sort of like forced perspective. You'll see it and go, oh, okay, now we get it. They put out a bunch of lunatics to make this guy look good. So look for that. But in the meantime, have fun just watching these jackasses make it look like they are actually going to make a run for it. Kamala was a complete disaster. I don't know who can't see that. So the thought that she might even think of running again is hilarious. But she is back on the speaking trail, I guess. She's behind a podium. And I did miss her rambling babble about anything and everything. But let's listen in, see if she's gotten any better with her speeches. This is Camilla the other day. Let's hear what she's saying.
But friends, please let us not be duped into thinking everything is chaos. I know it may feel that way, but understand what we are in fact witnessing is a high-velocity event where a vessel is being used for the swift implementation of an agenda that has been decades in the making.
What? She never disappoints. What a buffoon. She is a buffoon. A high velocity. She thinks she's being profound. You know, there's a reason some people sound down home when they speak. You know, when they speak, it sounds like old Americana. You know, talking from experience and what they've accomplished over the years. When you get someone that's an idiot, somebody that really isn't that intelligent and doesn't have the gift of gab at all, and then they try to sound profound by adding in these little, what does she mean? A high velocity moment. You know, we are in a situation that proves to be situational in its situationness. What? What are you saying? But that's what we got. She crawled out from under her rock to give us that tidbit. Oh my God! And then her vice presidential pick, Tim Walz, he's out there too. You know, he's always a contender for Clown of the Week when he speaks. And what do they expect? You know, I remember a time when a presidential candidate, when they lost, they pretty much disappeared for a while and then went into something else. They just did something else. You know, Al Gore. Wasn't that I think him running against George W. Bush, wasn't that his last presidential run? It just, he understood, I'll go into this climate change grift. I can make a few bucks telling people that in 10 years, you know, the earth is going to be frozen or overheated or flooded or there'll be no water, whatever. And then 10 years passes by and he says 10 more years. But they knew to just leave. You're not wanted. You failed at what you tried to do. And that was kind of, you know, a good thing. But Tim Walz jumps out in front, not even mentioning Kamala, who was the presidential candidate. He was the failed vice presidential candidate. And he's out there like, you know, like he's moving and shaking. All right. We will be back momentarily with Drea de Matteo. Stick around. The Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is indeed the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in on this Sunday evening. We are eagerly awaiting Drea de Matteo. My little voice in my ear tells me they are trying to contact her. When we get her on, she will be placed on immediately onto the show. Oh, Jesus Christ, I hope she's okay. Did she, she's not with Syl, is she? She probably heard that and went like, oh, God. Another Sopranos interview. Oh, God, please. Anything but another Sopranos interview. But I'll be nice. They're talking to her people. We'll see. We'll see what happens. In the interim, we could take some of those calls that I was talking about earlier about some conspiracy stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of conspiratorial nonsense being volleyed about. And I don't know. I used to just discount every single one of them. I had such confidence and belief in the government and in science, and that everything that was presented to me had to have at least most of it was the truth. But now I don't know. I consider things that I never would have considered, especially about 9/11. Like 9/11, I was a staunch believer in the company line. What the government told us about 9/11 was what happened. Osama bin Laden, a bunch of Arabs, as it were, Saudis, Afghanis, whatever. It didn't matter, did it? Iraqi, it didn't matter. We're just going to go attack them all. But I really believed this, and now I sound silly. I'm going to open up here and sound silly to everyone, because my belief was that they looked at the American lifestyle, the decadent Hollywood, beautiful women, but this is going back, the 90s, the first Trade Center bombing with the Ryder truck, and earlier terrorist events. I always just thought, oh, they're jealous because we're so awesome. So, because they want to satisfy their own religious beliefs, they decided to kill a bunch of Americans. Yeah, I know. I hear you. You're laughing at me. And I thought that's what it was. Oh, these bastards. They got on these planes because they hate America. They were in Vegas before they hijacked the planes. If that's even what happened. I don't know how far to go with a lot of conspiracies, especially things like 9/11. There's a school of thought that it happened exactly like they said it did. And the other one is that planes didn't even hit the buildings. It was a hologram and stuff. And I think both of those, to believe in either of those, is pretty ridiculous. But then the entire, between those two, is just filled with all kinds of stuff. And you don't know how far to go one way or the other. The people that say it's a hologram and no planes really hit and it was a controlled demolition, I can't get into that. But then I've definitely discounted the official rundown that the government gave. It is very obvious now that certain things were done in order to make it easier for us to get into a Middle East conflict back then. So I don't even know. I really don't even know. But we'll see. We'll see if somebody wants to call it 9/11 or any of the other nonsense that's going on. Let's see. That guy really. We'll talk to Matt. Matt from the Bronx. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how are you, Anthony? So basically, before I get to my comment, I want to just share two resources with you. One I've shared before. It's The Culture Critique by Dr. Kevin McDonald. Mm-hmm. It gives you all the origins of all these left-wing lunatic intellectual movements, cultural Marxism, feminism, etc. Right. It's a really devastating critique on how these movements have really just completely destroyed our society, really. Yeah. And with regard to what you're talking about now, with regard to conspiracy theories, quote unquote, there's also a site. It's unz.com. It's a political commentary site and a news site. I wouldn't call it conspiracy theories per se, but it just basically gives you more factual and objective information on items.
I like what you're saying, but who even knows what that is or where that comes from or how, realistic or factual anything is? That's the problem these days. And believe me, if there were, I've looked at plenty of resources that seem very legitimate, but that's just it. they seem legitimate, and they're completely different as far as what they say. So we're in a very strange place in history right now where no one really knows what's true or not.
Sure, but one thing I think is fairly certain. I mean, when you look at the mainstream media, you'd have to be a fool to trust anything coming from CNBC, MSNBC.
Exactly.
Because when you look at just take 9/11 as a case in point. They told us that, Saddam Hussein was connected with Al Qaeda. He had weapons of mass destruction. He was going to invade. He was going to launch missiles at the United States. He was killing babies in incubators. All that turned out to be lies. And we launched a destructive and disastrous war in the Middle East that cost our economy trillions of dollars, left thousands of our young men and women in the military dead and wounded, and left the entire region in the Middle East in utter chaos, and made it far more dangerous to American interest than it was before we invaded Iraq. Again, that was launched on the premise of the media telling us how dangerous a threat Saddam Hussein was, and he was linked to 9/11, which was a blatant lie. It just goes back to like the Vietnam War, for example. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to just tag what you said about the fact that you can look at what happened after an event like 9/11, and then we go into Iraq and Afghanistan. I think that helps you sort out the truth a little bit, because you could see the motivation there. Motivation is a big thing as far as trying to figure out truth from fiction. When people want to say the government was either involved in 9/11 or they at least knew about it and did nothing, you could then look at what happened afterward and go, well, that's pretty convenient. They were clamoring for a war with Iraq, and this gave them the perfect opportunity to do that. So you have to consider those things when you're researching whether you believe in what's, a conspiracy is.
Sure. And, I'm sure you're familiar with the brilliant writer and American politician, Patrick Buchanan.
Oh, yes.
Yes. He actually ran for president unsuccessfully. I think more than any other Republican mainstream politician, he would have been probably the best choice for commander-in-chief. But I digress. He wrote a paper following 9/11 called Whose War? By Pat Buchanan, and he pointed out that the neoconservatives, that clique that really came to power during the Reagan administration, but really came into its own during the George W. Bush administration, launching these series of disastrous wars in the Middle East. People like Paul Wolfowitz, Douglas Feith, Richard Pearl, these bastards were clamoring for a war with Iraq and Syria and Lebanon and in Libya and Iran. Literally years before 9/11 ever occurred.
And now look, Matt.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And now look, they're all gone. Like, all those countries have been kind of done in by convenient things that have happened over the course of history. So it makes you think at the very least, and it makes you mad if you think about it too much. But I got to move on, Matt. But you're great. Great call. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, there he goes. There goes Matt. Yeah, it's if you look at what transpires after some of these conspiracy things, you want to find a reason. If a government is doing something or a people are doing something, whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, well, why? That's why I laugh my ass off at the flat Earth people. And I know that's another conspiracy. And if you want to call and, we'll do a quick mini debate on that, or we didn't go to the moon, or a few of those things. But there's no reasonable thing that you could say, well, I can understand why a government or the whole Earth at this point would have to be behind covering up that the Earth is flat, which is insane. But where's, what's the motive? What's the motivation there in saying it? We always make fun, like Alex Jones would go, well, it's Big Globe. Big Globe has the market on, globes and flat maps. They'd have to retool all their machinery. It would be a disaster for them. And you're like, okay, at least that's a reason. Okay, cool. Can we go now, sir, in my ear? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to Drea de Matteo. How are you, dear?
Good. How are you? Is this Anthony?
This is Anthony. Yes, Anthony.
What's up, Anthony? How you doing?
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's Tony. No, don't call me Tony. Tony's my uncle. Anthony's been my name forever and ever. Are you Dre or Drea? I've had the controversy in my ear for many, many years.
Isn't that annoying? Isn't that
is.
Just call me Dre, like Dr. Dre. Nice and easy.
Right? That's what I thought. I do my research. I make sure.
It's really Andrea.
You're right. So Drea, it would be Drea or whatever. It works.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. You could call me whatever you want. Just don't call me Collect. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
I'm so 1970s, man.
Dre, so good to have you on the show. I know you must have done so many interviews about The Sopranos and whatnot, but first of all, no one knows more about it and is a bigger fan than me, which should be really annoying. But I'm also such a big fan that I know not to just bludgeon you with stupid Sopranos stuff. You've been there.
You can.
No.
I'm used to it. That's my job. I am the Mickey Mouse of The Sopranos. I'm the Minnie Mouse, I should say.
The Minnie Mouse. No, see, here's what I was saying earlier. I think back to 1999, early 2000s, and I can't imagine. Well, I can because I have had some people do this, where people are asking you about what you did then. You know, oh, hey, that was great, or this, and you go, oh my God, it was so long ago. But you got to kind of smile and nod, or else you're, a piece of crap.
I mean, I get to say, oh, well, back in 99, I was on this small TV show called The Sopranos. You might have heard of it. There's still billboards for it on Sunset Boulevard right now as we speak.
I am the worst when it comes to identifying something that's going to be a hit or not. And in 1999, I was doing radio at WNEW in New York City, and I'd walk around the streets of New York, and the bus boards just started coming up for The Sopranos. And it said The Sopranos and had the gun in there and everything. And then it said if one family doesn't kill him, the other one will. And I was like, what is this crap? This show is not going to last one season. What garbage. Because I hated the little tagline they did, like, oh, look out. The mob's going to get him if his wife doesn't. And it was presented kind of in a weird way. I don't think they sold it on, at least on that bus board, as the show it became.
It happened so fast, too.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
yeah.
I remember you on NEW.
Yes.
That's 102.7, right?
Yeah, we were Opie and Anthony. We did the Whip 'em Out Wednesday thing, which ended up on one of the garbage trucks in an episode of The Sopranos. There was a big wow on the back when they blew up the garbage truck. So, yeah.
I grew up with that
was
station.
me.
I loved it so much back when things were just a little more rock and roll and way better.
Yes. Yeah, you're talking to a former aging shock jock, Trey.
Love it, man. I love it. Now it's just all saturated, watered down, clear. It's still Clear Channel. God knows what the hell it all is now.
It's all corporate, man. Man.
Rock and roll doesn't even exist anymore, man. We're going to need some aliens to come down and start making rock and roll cool again.
Well, speaking of rock and roll, Dre, I didn't even know who your husband was.
Oh, Mr. Robbie Stabler. He is the epitome of rock and roll. He's the shaman drummer.
Yes, the shaman drummer. You've gone out and actually been married, I guess, to a couple of musicians over the years.
I'm a professional groupie. You can add that to my resume, too. I swore this last time around I would never date another musician, but Robbie he won me over in the pandemic. That was the end of that.
Was that when that happened?
Yeah, he got stuck here when they shut the world down with me and my children. And I wake up and he's teaching my kids, homeschooling them. I was like, okay.
That's something that a mom looks at that just like falls instantly in love. It's a rom-com scene, for God's sake.
Yeah, waking up at 6 a.m. was not going to be for me. And now we've switched places. He wakes at 11 and now I'm up at 6 with the kids.
You were you were involved for a time, I see, with Michael, the bass player of Whitesnake. I love Whitesnake, but I don't want to.
Oh,
I don't want to bring
He's
up.
not in there anymore either, I don't think. I think that fell apart. A lot of things fell apart in the pandemic.
Well, Whitesnake has had as many members as Spinal Tap. They
Exactly.
really have had quite a few members in there. But I still love David Coverdale. Was he nice to you?
He was awesome. I absolutely love him. He's fun. He was great. He allowed me to get engaged for the second time on his stage.
Oh, wow.
That happened. Anytime I've gotten engaged on stage, that ended up not becoming a good engagement.
Not working out. Yeah.
No.
The guy kind of
wouldn't dare.
tutoring your kids sounds like a much better husband or boyfriend.
That was the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The similarity between, you with musicians and, of course, Adriana.
I know.
I got to ask you this. Did you like the Meow song? Come on.
Do you know that was the most, I had two moments in the show that were the most nerve-wracking for me. It was a Meow, and it was when I had to get on stage with the Crazy Horse and introduce a band.
Right.
That was me really on display, and those were the moments where I realized I'm not really a performer, man. Like, this isn't my bag.
Wow, because it wasn't like
thing.
acting. It was just kind of, here's what I do, and I got to put it out there, your real self.
I mean, he wrote that. I didn't improvise that. There was nothing was ever improvised on the show. That was pure David Chase. They thought I was a cat on the show, and they went with it, and I had to meow for them.
That song was so bad.
I know. We were listening to Defiler, and I go, meow.
just terrible. Yours, of course, Adriana. And I was saying it earlier. One of the most, I guess, sympathetic characters. No one in the show, and I've watched it so many times over. You realize, like, no one in the show is innocent. There's just not really one person that is completely innocent in that show. Somebody's out for something. They're using people for something. But you obviously came Adriana came across as very sweet, and it was kind of the worst scene ever to watch her demise there at the hands of Syl. But I guess, David played it out that way to make you more sympathetic than some of the other, especially the wives, Carmela and the rest of them.
I think she was the sacrificial lamb. And even though she was brassy and she would fight back, she never had an agenda like even the kids. The kids even had a hustle.
Yes.
She never did. Like, she really, and David said this to me too, she was pure love. Like, she really only operated from a place of love. She would defend herself sometimes, but she was never leading with that type of agenda the way everybody else was. People sort of, they gave into a lot of stuff because they wanted certain things. She just wanted love and wanted to give love.
Yeah.
She was super innocent in that way. So when she dies,
Adriana.
It's tragic because it changed the show in a way. Like, you really got to see how that killing one of their own in that way without even a moment of questioning. And how impulsive it was. You really started to feel the animalistic nature of these men,
Dre, we're taking a quick break, but we'll come right back. I want to talk to you a little more if you can hang out a bit.
Yeah, I'm
Appreciate
good.
it. Okay, we'll be back with Drea de Matteo in moments. Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. We're back with Drea de Matteo. Adriana, of course, from The Sopranos. You were also on Sons of Anarchy, which another just graphically violent show.
That I like to call that one Diet Sopranos. Even though it was more violent, it was still Diet Sopranos kind of emotionally in a way.
Right. It was more, I think, less real deep storytelling and more just cracking heads open and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, they took that to the nth degree, but they didn't really go there with this sort of tragedy. It was tragic, but a different kind of tragedy. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, yeah. TV has gotten so different from obviously the Sopranos days and a lot of other shows. It was must-watch viewing when it happened. You know, Sunday night, everybody sat in front of that TV with their family, or and you watched the Sopranos and you talked about it the next day. And if you missed it, you were screwed. You know, you were it was gonna get spoiled. It took a little bit before you could see it again. How do you think that affects how people watch stuff these days?
Oh, man. I mean, again, innocence just gone.
Gone.
You know, like people getting together and sitting around. I mean, The Sopranos was an event. You know, people would sit around and order all kinds of Italian food. It was like, mozzarella Sundays. It was Sunday dinner. So it was such a social time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like everything has I feel like it was the beginning of this beautiful era of television, and it was also the end at the same time. Yeah. Because once we opened that door, it opened the door to, you know, fantastic television, and then all of a sudden television became king over films. And then the streaming started. You know, it was like what we were going through with the music industry with LimeWire and like all of these things that were happening back then. And then the streamers took place, and it's just sort of, I don't understand it right now. We're in a weird time. I feel like the only hope we have for entertainment, aside from what we just went through in the last 4 years, and art is dead over the whole woke agenda. I feel like the indie film is going to reemerge. TV needs to take a break, man. And
Isn't
the
that
indie
something?
film needs to come back.
Yeah, it is similar to music in that way, because everybody wonders what happened to, you know, the indie bands, and like we saw in the 90s, obviously, out of the hair metal days and into grunge. Like, it's just some young people in a garage somewhere with their idea of what entertainment is in their field. And I think, movies and TVs need that. Streaming has just kind of gotten where they'll give you maybe one good season and then just pump garbage out because you're hooked on the one season.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's like we're living during the most lazy, and now we have the Gen Z kids. You know, I'm always lecturing my own son. I'm like, man, you can't take the easy way out. I mean, I know we've all figured out that school's an indoctrination situation, but we also have to still try to, like, you know, thrive under pressure, challenges, and try to make cool stuff again. Like, this is, now everything's watered down. Everybody flips an auto-tune on. TV shows are terrible. Everything looks like this ugly video. It's not even like a cool VHS vibe. We got this like high def, ultra realistic. There's no imagination.
I like grain. I like film grain. What happened to that? You watch things that they look like soap operas. Yeah, everything looks like a soap opera now. I got to say, one of my favorite lines, why don't you go horn a house? I like that one.
Which one? What is it?
Why don't you go horn a house?
I forgot that one.
That one's great. Also, you want me to make you some scrambled eggs? I like that one. So many. And then
she could have said anything with that accent.
It was just perfect. And then Christopher went. One of the worst scenes was, "You never told me you were damaged goods." That was brutal.
Uterus.
That was brutal. You always seem to, like, the second you got happy, you just got screwed over somehow. Like in the same episode, back to back like that. It was amazing. So I won't even ask you about the last episode, aside from where were you when you watched it, and did you go like? Because I talked to Vincent Curatola, and he's like, "We didn't know that was going to happen."
Me neither.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was watching it with a house full of people. We had a big Sunday event at my house. I don't know if I was pregnant yet or something, but I wasn't on the show for a year, I think, at that point. So I wasn't really in touch with all my buddies. And the minute my TV went out, I called one of my best friends, who is the production assistant on the show. And I'm like, yo,
Drea, could you hang for one more break? We got to go take a break quick for the network. Can you?
Okay.
We'll be right back. Anthony Cumia
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, we're back. Sorry to make you wait there, Dre. If she's still there. Anthony Cumia Show, of course. Dre?
Hi.
Hi, you're back. Sorry to make you wait. You know how it is. It's like old school, the commercials and things, breaks. Not like a podcast. I've enjoyed podcasting over the past few years, but, back on broadcast radio, as they say.
I like it.
Yeah, it's nostalgic. You were talking about your reaction to the screen going black when you had a room full of people, I guess, and you were all
I didn't believe. I was like, this is a mistake. There's a problem. There's a glitch. So I just called the people from the production to give me the ending so I could tell everybody in the house how it ended, and they were like, that is the ending. And immediately I was like, that's genius. I didn't even think for a minute that it wasn't. I was like, because if they would have killed him, they would have been pissed. The whole world would have been pissed. And if they would have let him live, the whole world would have been pissed because there were still haters back then.
Yep.
And they would have been flexing their hate either way. So this way it was some abstract ending, and it was the best water cooler moment of all time because that show was known for sitting around the water cooler and talking about it.
Yeah, it was in hindsight, watching the entire series numerous times and picking it apart and going over it. It really is the only way that could have ended. And oddly enough, with satisfying everybody, like you just put it, you'd think everyone was unsatisfied without a nice bow tied around it, but it was perfect. That was the perfect way to end that run. Just amazing.
I think he said that he dies. I think David Chase said that in his mind that was his ending, but I don't really know if that's even true because I haven't seen those interviews.
Yeah, I don't even go over it with people because it's, it wasn't written that way, and everything was written. So people go, well, what would you think if they were real people? It's like, yeah, they weren't. So it's kind of silly, to think. I saw you on Robert and Jamie Lynn's show, their podcast.
Uh-oh. I always say the wrong thing on that one.
No, it's awesome. I think they are so cool. It's so amazing that they are really best of friends. And it's like some kind of weird comfort thing for fans of the show. It's like, they hang out even off of their podcast. They have lives together. They're very dear friends with each other.
They're brother and sister. They really are brother and sister. He's always there at her house. He moved to where she's living, a whole other state. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so
they
cool.
adore each other. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is like it's almost like the sequel, like the brother and sister got out there and they're doing stuff. And
the way he is with her when she, I was behind them at an autograph signing, and she was having a hard time walking, and the way he just sort of props her up and just makes sure that she's okay. It's really beautiful. It makes me cry every time.
Yeah, they love each other like brother and sister. Yeah. It's awesome. It really is. You obviously have a political take that isn't quite what Hollywood likes or goes by or hires people with. Do you feel you've lost work because of your political ideology?
Well, I know that I kind of just removed myself right at the head of the pandemic when I knew I wasn't going to get vaccinated. So I knew that was going to be either debanking, it would be a blacklist situation. Yeah. I saw that coming from a mile away. So, I got dropped by everybody. I held out to see if something would change, but no, the agency dropped me without a phone call. Just all that kind of wicked Hollywood BS. But and it wasn't like I was working like crazy. The particular people would find me and want me to do their show. So that was the way I always sort of maneuvered. It was never I wasn't a real career actor. I just did it when I had to. Like whenever I needed a paycheck is when I would go for it.
Yeah.
But then when all of a sudden knowing that wasn't going to be the case, like I couldn't just snap my fingers and say, okay, I'm ready to do a little something, something to pay the bills. And knowing that I could no longer do it, that was a really rude awakening.
Well, obviously entertainment, it's all ebbs and flows, you're working, then you're not, and you wonder if you'll ever work again. But when you're being blackballed or blacklisted because of your ideology or affiliation or guilt by association, whatever it is, you kind of know it.
I heard one actor who's one of the prominent conservatives out there, and I'm still a crazy liberal. It's just that I just don't believe in BS. I believe in the truth, and the truth was just leaning to the right for a minute, so they tagged me, as whatever, because everybody has to have a damn pronoun these days. And my pronoun is just we the people and get off the back. Yeah. It's not, it's not red or blue or any of this, BS. But I forgot what I was even going to say.
The vaccine thing was big. That was a big, turning point with a lot of people. I didn't take it. Yeah. I lied about it. I used a fake thing to get into places. And
me too.
I just was not going to do that.
My daughter, when I realized I was going to lose my house, because that's really where it went.
Oof.
When I realized things were getting that bad, I said, babe, I got to take a job. She's like, I don't want you to use that card, though, for the job. It's one thing for a restaurant. It's one thing to get us into a restaurant or a theater thing or something. But to go work and you with your big mouth, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get caught. She's like, you don't know how to lie. And I was like, you're right. I don't know how to lie. And I wouldn't have felt good about it. So I just didn't do it. So I basically just removed myself. So I don't really know if I would have gotten a job or not. I did have to say no to a lot of little things that came up that could have kept us afloat. It really just pushed me into, it was like being under so much pressure that I had to make moves that I never thought I would make. And I made some wild moves, man. And in those wild moves, I ended up becoming like the voice of, one, like the 0 percentile of Hollywood that would actually speak out against it, aside from comedians. Comedians are the trailblazers. They always were. They always will be. They speak the truth. I don't know.
Some of them are jerk offs too. Trust me.
Yeah, well, they might all be jerk offs, but at least they. but maybe they were the only ones that were,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I don't know if I'm trying so hard not to curse because I don't know if I'm on the radio right now.
I know. It's crazy, right? I was doing podcasting for 10 years, and I say F is every other word out of my mouth in my normal life. So radio is kind of a weird thing for me, too. But, I get that. The whole time where they were forcing people to get vaccinated to just live their lives and work, I was so lucky because I was running my own business, podcasting business at the time, so I didn't have a boss or anyone to tell me I needed to take that shot to earn a living. And for people like you to have to do that was I think the most tyrannical I've ever seen this country.
Same. It was a game changer. And once you kind of see it at that level and really take it in, you can't unsee that. And I think that's what changed me completely. And then all of a sudden, I'm just out there talking about this stuff, I never even felt like, I never did that much press for any shows I was on. And now here I am on the news every day. I was like the go-to for Fox to bash on celebrities, talking about politics. I'm like, how did I ever end up here? I didn't even pay attention in history class. And here I am now knowing everything about the history between Ukraine and Russia or just, I don't know, Mao Zedong. Like all of a sudden I am so immersed into the history. I'm on aliens at this point because I'm like, what else can I find out?
I know
how much we've been lied to.
Yeah, I've been taking a few calls tonight on conspiracies and whatnot. And boy, I used to be so believing and trusting in the government and everything. I would argue with people like, no, they wouldn't do that. And now I feel like an idiot because it's just been proven that, God, we're lied to constantly.
Yeah, I trusted the liberal government. I trusted the Democrats. I was like,
right.
Get the Bushes out of here. Meanwhile, once you have Liz Cheney and all of those, all of them, I was like, Jesus, wow. And no one is noticing what's going on here, the level of total horse,
yes.
happening. Like, I just couldn't believe it. So now this is my life. I don't even have interest in acting anymore. I don't even want to make believe anymore. Like, I feel like things are so dire and crucial, but not like in a scary way. I feel like it's time for there to be a grand awakening. And I don't mean woke. I mean like
just open your eyes. It's
it's pretty magical.
The Matrix gets more realistic every time you
I know,
watch
man.
it,
and it's a trip. And it's interesting. And people are afraid because they're afraid of what's happening. And I'm like, don't be afraid, man. Like, just open up to it and kind of ease into it and try to evolve through it a little bit, because I think that's what the message is, really.
Yeah. You're still doing OnlyFans, because that got a lot of heat.
Well, that's what pressurized me into areas where I was like, holy cow, I would never get naked on television.
Right.
Ever. I had a no nudity clause, and now I'm on a site that is, a pornographic site. My page is a fan page. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Adriana La Cerva's fan page. I never put a picture of myself on Instagram in a bikini back when I, started social media. Everyone else does. These girls, all these actresses. I've never seen more selfies and more self-adulation in my life. I was like, wait a minute, I can make money posting pictures like all of these sort of starlets and old-timers like J-Lo and everybody. I'm like, but I can just do this and get paid for it because I'm Adriana from the Sopranos.
Yeah. Well, Dre, all we had was screenshots from the tennis court or the leopard dress, or when you picked up Christopher when he was in the neck brace, or
like and now that's me every day on OnlyFans in my underwear. Some old lady, it's granny porn.
Oh, please. I love it. Dre, thanks so much for popping on and talking with me, man. I'm a huge fan, appreciate what you do, and we need more people that are open-minded and willing to speak out like you have.
Don't forget to promote my brand, ULTRAFREE, because that's really what we're doing.
Do it up. Give it the big plug.
Free speech. It's kind of funny, and it's all about freedom and we the people. It takes no sides, not liberal, not conservative. And it's really just about getting back to just feeling free again. And it's called ULTRAFREE. And you can find it on I'm shadow banned on Instagram, so it would be awesome if you push through it. And then on Twitter, we're on Twitter and Instagram. ultrafree.co is the website. Mm-hmm. And we make cool gun necklaces and T-shirts and hats and all that sort of stuff.
Cool. Very, very nice.
Bring rock and roll back.
Yep. Bring rock and roll back. Bring movies and TV back. Thanks so much, Trey. I appreciate
Thanks for having me.
You coming on with me, man. Be well.
Thanks for having me.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Love it. Love it. We'll be right back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Fake news coming up next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show. We're back. Thank you, Drea de Matteo. Very cool talking with her. She's like, oh, WNEW. I was like, oh. We're all just young boys at heart, aren't we? Talk to a girl like that, and you're just, you get a little giddy.
She knows me. She knows me.
She knows who I am. So stupid. We are suckers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, of course, it is time for fake news.
Now.
Fake news, folks. Fake news.
It's the fake news.
Fake stories.
News moment.
Now, a little different tonight because I don't have another clip of MSNBC or any of these, CNN, performing fake news. This is good. You'll like this because it's Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller ripping the media apart. I love this. People, they don't really appreciate how well Trump's staff just sticks it to the media. Even Trump, I mean, we have some clips a little later in the show with him on NBC News. And he doesn't put up with their garbage. These politicians, they always sit down with the mainstream media and just put up with it. Oh, yeah, call me that. Call me that. And then they try to divert from what the reporter is saying. And Trump just answers things. It gets him in a lot of trouble. Which, again, I have an example of that a little later in the show. But for fake news, let's hear Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller destroy the fake news.
Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
Isn't that fantastic? To see somebody laying it into the mainstream media like that from the podium is refreshing. We've wanted that. Everyone that says, wow, how many people regret their Trump vote? Oh, you guys, he hasn't done anything about this, that, the other. Just watching his press people get up there and rip apart the lying sacks that are the mainstream media is fantastic. It's just, we've watched so many of these press secretaries, especially that the two clowns, the redhead clown and the mophead clown that Biden had, it was constantly duck and cover for them. The media would ask them questions. They didn't answer anything. It was always evasive. And now the media are the ones that are afraid. They ask a question, they're going to be laid into by Trump's people, and rightly so. We know they're liars. We know the fake news media are a bunch of liars. They're in the pockets of the left, propaganda wing of the left, and we get to watch them get called out for it. And their anger doesn't even affect anyone anymore. When they get mad and they write horrible articles about these people or do a report on it, we just look and know they're lying. Their viewership is down. Readership, I don't know who actually reads a paper anymore. I mean, obviously you go online. I could see things from the Post or the Daily News or any newspaper around the country. But why the hell are printing presses still running at newspaper companies? Why? Hold the presses. We have extra, read all about it. Stop the presses. New story coming in. Why is that still a thing? I guess parrot cages, housebreaking animals. Do you need newspaper? You could probably just buy blank newsprint. It would be better. The ink won't get all over everything, because I can't imagine newspapers are being used for anything more than animal waste. sopping up animal waste in the bottom of a cage. They've blown it over the course of the years. We see it now. It's all just fake news. And he was saying that, what Stephen Miller was saying to the media. Yeah, they're championing these illegals, murderers, rapists. There was last week, great story, another great Donald Trump White House event. They put those lawn signs up, like the election lawn signs, and they lined one of the driveways going up to the White House with pictures of illegal aliens that have been arrested for rape, murder, assault. And the media was mad that they put them up. Not mad that illegals were let into this country to commit some of the most heinous crimes you could ever even imagine. But mad that they put their pictures on the White House lawn, that they put the pictures where their stand-up shots, their live shots, those pictures would have to be in the background. And you know what MSNBC did? They blurred the pictures of these horrible rape, murderer criminals from their newscast, protecting their identity, bashing Donald Trump and the Trump administration and the White House for putting that up there. Instead of getting mad at what any reasonable American would be mad at, why were these animals allowed into this country under the Biden administration? So everything that happens, every one of these instances calls out the fake media for the lying sacks of, well, that they are. We will be right back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Let's get back to the phones for a bit. We're talking conspiracies tonight. Not in the way most radio shows cover conspiracies. I just don't know. I want to know what the people are thinking about, because there's so many out there, some that make sense, some that are completely out of control. But it seems a lot of people do believe that there are things going on that we're being lied to about, and what the motivation is, if it's true or not, if it's kind of true, mostly true. I don't know. Who the hell am I to say? This is, I love the name and the place, Anthony from Long Island. Anthony, what's up, my friend?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for the program. I just wanted to trailer on to what your last guest, prior to the young lady you had from UltraFree.com.
Yes.
Dick Cheney in 2001, Dick Cheney had been under investigation for embezzling $500 million as CEO of Halliburton. And he conspired with Arthur Anderson as well, did a great many other big tech, as Eisenhower warned us, beware the military-industrial congressional complex. And, it was just quite an irony that him as vice president had his finger on the switch and stopped the interceptors that would have stopped those planes from being hijacked. On August 23rd, there was a French stuntman, Terry Dew, had gotten caught on the Statue of Liberty. He tried to hang a banner off of the torch.
I remember that.
Protesting landmines.
Yep.
And the police brought him in. And, planes were scrambled within 15 minutes of that event. And they said that they were going to shoot him out of the sky because they had been, the FAA had been on the highest level because they were expecting a terrorist attack on American landmarks. And then it was but 19 days later that 9/11 transpired. Now, these are just facts. The only conspiracy I know of is the official narrative given us by the government itself.
That's the conspiracy, right.
Sandy Berger had gone into the National Archives 6 or 7 times stealing documents. If you go to the Chicago Tribune for August 21st, 2021, you'll see where recordings from the air traffic controllers on the morning of 9/11 were trashed 7 months later, even though they were mandated to save all evidence, and yet they found it necessary to burn some tapes.
Well, Anthony, what is their like plausible deniability? Did they say we needed to destroy those because this amount of time we burn our records? How do they explain it without it sounding like this was part of the whole thing?
Well, the supervisor that did it was supposedly to be reprimanded or been penalized for what he did. But there was no explanation as to why 7 months later he would destroy those tapes. And they were the recordings that were taken that morning of 9/11. And the one air traffic controller had said on the tapes that they had over an hour and a half lead time because he had realized that the first plane had been hijacked before it left the runway because the transponder had been turned off. So therefore they had an hour and a half, and yet there was a stand down order. He contacted NORAD 3 times in a row because they were not responding as was standard protocol. So somebody had changed the protocols. And I think it all came back to the Cheney-Bush White House had interfered in what would have been a normal procedure because, even if a pilot gets gassed or anything happens, they would just out of sheer practice scramble jets. And yet on 9/11, like I said, Terry Dew, they responded 10 days earlier as was by protocol, but 19 days later they stood down.
Now, Anthony, do you believe that there were people in the planes and they did crash into the buildings?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Because there are people that don't even believe that. Now, do you also think that now hindsight, 2020? Do you think even if they had scrambled planes, that they would have downed planes that were packed with American citizens?
No, but the pilots would have had methods to redirect those aircraft. But the fact that they didn't respond as was standard protocol for the last 50, 75 years since the FAA was established. Right. So there was interference in that activity, and it just didn't make up. And then you have building number 7 collapsed. They reported it's collapsed a half hour before it actually
thermite
collapsed,
paint. We all know it was thermite. That's what it was. And people had come in and painted the walls with thermite. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of files.
Anthony's very serious
regarding Enron, Arthur Anderson.
Yeah, I mean it's a giant building in New York City. I can't imagine there's one building, especially in the financial district. I can't imagine any building doesn't have records that you could look at and go, wow, that's kind of important, or that implicates this person or this company or this government entity. So like it doesn't mean that because there were government documents or things that might have been incriminating in that building, that's why it was demolished, if that was the case.
Well, the irony of it was that was Mayor Giuliani's control command center, yet nobody was manning the command center, which didn't make any sense. He was downtown or something.
It was a crazy day. It was a crazy day there, Anthony.
There are so many things that just do not make sense, you know.
I get you. But that's part of what
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make dollars?
Yes, and then that's it. Follow the money. Eisenhower's farewell address to the nation.
Oh, I know.
The military-industrial congressional complex.
Exactly.
And I do believe that that's where we are.
Anthony, thank you so much. Exactly
what
we're talking about here this evening.
Great program.
Are they real? Thank you, man. Are they real? Are they not? Do you trust the government? Do you not? Is it 100% one way? 100% the other way? I don't know. Joaquin from Pennsylvania. What's up?
Hey, good evening there, Mr. Cumia.
Good evening to
you'll
you.
Never guess what you'll never guess what my grandchildren call me.
Opie? What do you got, red hair?
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm Opal, but they call me Opie.
Oh, okay. Adorable. What's up?
So anyway, one explanation for a lot of this stuff is that the history of this world has been one of people conquering and people being conquered, So
people don't like to believe that, or people don't like to realize that that's what it's been also. They get very angry at the conquerors of days gone by. And it's like, that was the way the world worked. So that's just the way it is. There are conquered people all over the world. Sorry. Anyway, continue, Joaquin.
Yes. Actually, I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory of my own as far as Signalgate goes.
Yeah.
I think that anybody who has close ties to Cheney really should be watched, at least closely or at a distance.
Well, who in Signalgate has ties to Cheney? Hegseth?
Okay, well, I'm not going to say a name, but I'll give you a hint.
What are you?
The Special Forces, the Green Berets are trained. They have a special mission, and now there's one actually to overthrow, governments, to work behind enemy lines and things like that and work hand in hand with the CIA.
Right.
So, anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that. But everything that's going on with
what could you, Joaquin, what could you possibly know that you don't want to say because it'll get out there? Like, see, you're a conspiracy, Joaquin. You're being conspiratorial.
Mike Walls, he was director of defense or something for Dick Cheney.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. We'll look into that. I'll put my team on it.
That gives me that makes me question, and then also the whole thing with Kilmer Obrigo Garcia.
Yeah,
that was all leaked from that whole can of worms was opened up by some lawyer from within the Trump administration. That should have never happened. That was outright sabotage, And so
I could see that.
And as we look at other things, ultimately, at this time, they're out to destroy Western Christian, Judeo-Christian Western civilization. And you look at that with the migration, and I believe that illegal immigrants are one of the big reasons why there may be blue cities, which make blue states, which make the swing states.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Obrigo getting caught in Tennessee, hauling people, and he doesn't get arrested because he has a driver's license which is expired. So in other words, these people have been covered to have free reign to go all over the country, and I'm sure that they're voting and everything.
Yep.
And so this is being done to subvert basically this country, because all these states, the rest of the states are red, and then you have these blue cities.
Well, Joaquin, I agree with you on the Abrego Garcia. I don't understand why. I've watched that video and don't understand. I've watched so many police videos. That guy would have been brought out of the car. All of them would have been taken out of the car. They'd have made an attempt to identify them. He'd have been maybe arrested, probably arrested. Why? Why was this guy let off? It was so blatantly obvious that he was hauling around illegals in this car, and they did nothing to this guy. Thank you.
It just blows your mind when you think about it.
Thank you, Joaquin. I'm gonna move on because we have a lot of calls this evening. But I appreciate your call, Mr. Pennsylvania. Thank you, sir. There he goes. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing is screwy. Again, the reason conspiracies, I think the reason they've always been a thing and this mysterious kind of exciting thing to imagine, talk about, is because we have doubts. When people are in power, I guess by nature they're not trusted. Which is a good thing. It keeps them in check. But it has gotten so blown out of every possible reasonable realm. It's just crazy. We hear about things, and there's nowhere to go to verify it. Like, people tell me, oh, go here. You got to read this. And you read it and go, yeah, I could read the exact opposite on a site that has just as much credibility or not credible as this site. So where are we supposed to go to get the truth? And was there ever a place to go that you could get the truth? I don't know. Ryan, Tampa, Florida. What's up, man?
Hi, Anthony. A big fan.
course.
When Bush Jr. got elected, he never campaigned on this. But
Steve from Manhattan, is this you?
No, no.
Steve.
It's come on. I got something
Steve. It was Steve from Manhattan. I love knowing now. We know it's Steve. I don't mind Steve, but he'll just be rambling about something. I don't know. Let's see. Anyway, well, actually, I want to talk about this real quick because it's a huge story. This Minnesota mom, she was in a park. Apparently, some young black child was, she says, was stealing something out of her son's or her bag. She was there with her kid, stealing something out of her bag at a park. She drops an N-bomb on the kid. And a guy that has obviously his phone, and calls her out for dropping the N-bomb, talking to the kid, supposedly a 5-year-old. He looked pretty big on that jungle gym, but he was apparently 5 years old. So this guy comes up and calls her out for dropping an N-bomb on a 5-year-old, and she very unapologetically repeats it. And it causes this big controversy. It goes viral. And once again, the races are at each other's throats. Because, boy, don't we love that here in this country? Don't we love when the races can just choke each other out? It seems to be the new American pastime. So the result of this has been this woman has gotten support from a lot of people online. A Give, Send, Go, which is like a GoFundMe, was set up, and she has raised, or people have raised for her, over $500,000. Over $500,000. There are people that are very angry about this. Most of those people come from the black community. And when they voice their anger at it, the other side, because we're in a battle here, the white people say, hey, well, what about Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf? Carmelo Anthony stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf at a track event at a school, and money was raised for him through one of these online money-making sites. And he made over $500,000. So it's like they're neck and neck in this financial race war that's going on. But each side doesn't want to say that the other side is right in doing what they're doing, but they won't say that maybe they're wrong in what they're doing, raising money. This, by the way, now has nothing to do with a woman dropping an N-bomb in a park. This now is about people that were very angry with the Carmelo Anthony money that was raised for him because their story was Carmelo Anthony and his family are being threatened. Their life is being threatened because he murdered Austin Metcalf. So we need money to relocate. So they bought a new house. They bought an Escalade. They bought a suit for their spokesperson. And then this happens. And people, I think white people were just looking for someone to donate money to go up against this Carmelo Anthony thing. I think that's it. I don't think many white people just sit around and go, hey, look, she dropped an N-bomb. Let's give her some money. I don't think that's the point. I think people are missing the much bigger picture here of this resentment. This a white boy was killed, murdered. You'd be very hard pressed to convince me this was self-defense based on what's out there already. But they raised a lot of money for this kid, and those donations came from the black community. And it annoyed the crap out of a lot of people that felt this was racial. This was a young white kid that was murdered by a young black kid. And they resented him getting all this money, getting paid, if you will, for murdering a white kid. So when this happened and money started going to this woman from Minnesota, it transcended just, oh, she dropped an N-bomb, let's give her money. That's silly. That's just ridiculous. But I think people need to see the bigger picture. There's a problem. There is a huge problem in this country racially. And I don't think a lot of people want to talk about it. They don't want to really delve in and say something's got to be done here. These two groups of people in this country really need to have what they say is an open and honest discussion about race. But no one really wants that. It's pretty painful. But that's where we're at. We'll see where it goes. But interesting story this past week. Be right back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome. Anthony Cumia Show. Love and life here on a Sunday evening. This Sunday evening. What Anthony Cumia show on a Sunday night would be complete without a clip from Rosie O'Donnell? Oh, God. We thought she was moving to Ireland, and that was it. We were kind of done with her. But, boy, does she love communicating with the United States and spreading her awful, depressed, rambling babble to this country. Can't Ireland just deal with her? Can't they just... Why do we still have to deal with her? But we do. And I can't do this alone. It's my job to find Rosie O'Donnell clips. And I shouldn't be the only one that suffers. So Rosie is now questioning Donald Trump's cognitive ability. This is the woman that was sticking up for Joe Biden during his 4 years of mental decline. And he was already mentally compromised when he was running. You remember they had him in his basement over there in Delaware constantly, not campaigning. So we knew, and we all talked about it. It wasn't like some secret. We knew. We said he was mentally impaired, and they said nothing. The Hollywood jack-offs, the media, all of them, and Rosie O'Donnell. But now Rosie O'Donnell is, I guess, a psychologist, psychiatrist, some type of expert on dementia or Alzheimer's. Not a word about Biden. But now, listen to what she says about Donald Trump.
Good. I'm having a great time until I start to hear about what's happening in the United States. And it's so overwhelming. And when are people going to start to realize how much he is in a cognitive decline, how he can't form coherent thoughts or sentences? He had a speech the other day and he couldn't say the word anonymous. He was like, it was a something is very off with him. And, you know, there's a 25th Amendment, or isn't that what it is? When you can say our president is not with it enough anymore to be the leader of the free world. And aren't we there? Aren't we there? And the delusion is deep with his followers, I have to say.
Delusion.
I don't quite understand it. This, rich man who is desecrating all that we hold sacred in the United States of America. And these people are still cheering for him and, writing posts about,
Damn right.
Terry Moran is bad and Trump owned him. Did you watch that interview? Trump did not own him. Trump was a petty bully on a child playground.
He called you a slob.
Come on. Everybody, get together. Willful blindness has to end.
All right.
And
that's enough.
pray
That's
for us, because we're going to need it.
Pray for us. That's all we need to hear from Rosie. I'm speechless. Whenever she talks, I'm speechless at her idiocy. What a dolt. There she is, saying that Donald Trump is cognitively impaired when she was one of the cheerleaders, the big fat cheerleaders, the one that's on the bottom during the pyramid when they cheer. For Joe Biden, she brings up one word, anonymity, whatever it was. Yeah, that's okay. He can trip over one word. Let's pull out some Biden speeches, Rosie, and see how many words he screwed up. And not just words, complete sentences, complete thoughts or lack thereof. And then she has the gall to talk about Trump supporters being delusional, not seeing that he has this mental impairment. After her and Hollywood and mainstream media denied the unbelievable decline that we watched in Joe Biden's mental state. Why? She went to Ireland. Why? Is there a way to cut a cable or something? I know in the old days we had a transatlantic cable, and you could probably cut it and we wouldn't hear anything from the UK or the continent. But, oh, my God, we still have to hear her nonsense. And she's she's a mess. I don't even mean physically, which, she's a mess. But just a depressed old woman. Well, I'm here in Ireland. I got my daughter, the one I didn't screw up mentally, where she, does drugs and she's arrested. And imagine crowing over your daughter, because I think she brought up her daughter at some point in that speech. And she's talking about how great it is to be in Ireland with her daughter. What about the other one? You should be able to talk about your daughter when you've screwed one up. Sorry. I don't care how well you do on this one. It's going to average out to a pretty low grade as a mom because you screwed up your other one. We could still hate Rosie. That's even internationally. We'll be right back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you very much.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go right back to the phones. We're talking conspiracies. Chris from Long Island. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Anthony, what's going on?
Hanging, doing a show, Sunday night.
Oh, yeah. What else are you going to do? So, first time, long time.
Quack, quack.
Have you, yeah, right. 42 after the hour. Have you seen these lines in the sky?
Yes. I've seen them. I've seen them for many years and just thought it was contrails. And then Lionel informed me that these are more nefarious than you think. So I'm not sure. Still, I'm not sure. But something does seem a little fishy, like they're trying to engineer the climate or the amount of sunlight that reaches the Earth?
There is something definitely going on with that. So I grew up on Long Island. I've noticed these things for 25 years, so 2.5 decades. And I've had people from the Air Force tell me that I am just bizarre. I'm beside myself, and what I'm looking at is humidity. So please tell me, what kind of humidity can turn the sky a white?
Well, see, I know. Now, I know a little bit about aircraft, jet engines, aviation, and I do know that when air is pulled through a jet engine and becomes warm, and at altitude the air is very cold, that it can condense, and you get these trails of what are virtually clouds coming off of the engines of these planes. Now, the weird thing is I don't recall this when I was a kid. I don't remember by the late afternoon, the entire blue sky being taken up with this basket weave of clouds that are now stopping the sunlight from making its way to the ground. So here's my take on it, though. I don't believe that there are tanks of chemicals in the planes and the pilots look around over their shoulder, make sure no one's looking, and they pull a lever on their passenger flights from, Detroit to Memphis and start spreading these chemicals out there. What I can see maybe as a scenario is that the aviation fuel that comes into this country has chemicals put in it that no one knows about, that when they go through the engine, the byproduct is what they want. Some of these chemtrails that come out, but I don't think the pilots or anyone knows about this. I think a few people maybe, and I'm just speculating here. That maybe it's in the fuel itself. Because too many people, I don't buy into the too many people need to keep this quiet angle when it comes to conspiracies.
Right. Now, here's the thing. These planes in New York, they don't show up on flight tracker apps. I'm looking right at them. I'm looking at a flight tracker app. They're not there. So the other day, RFK Jr. came out and he said during a press conference that autism generally starts around 2 years old.
Right.
And he's going to be looking for environmental toxins because there's no funding in looking for autism caused by environmental toxins. So this whole time when he's on the campaign trail, he's talking about how potentially vaccines are part of autism. We don't know. We're going to study it. But if you're looking for an environmental toxin, that automatically lets Big Pharma off the hook because injections are chemical or biological. And then the other day, he was in another Dr. Phil show, and he said that chemtrails, we don't know. It's not his agency. It's probably DARPA. And he said it's probably along the line.
DARPA. Anyway, continue.
And, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's something to all this. I don't know what it is. And then Bill Gates and the UK, they're all out there saying, you know what, we should dim the sun.
Yeah. They start bringing up the stuff that was considered a conspiracy a few years ago. Do you think, Chris, it's possible, and I think it is, that they throw so many things out there that the truth gets lost in this mix-up of conspiracy theories so that it doesn't have any credibility. So when people want to question it, they just go, oh, that's the same as the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot.
Oh, definitely. They try to muddy the waters. But one of the reasons why chemtrails are probably a little bit more truthful than not is because so many people have ignored it for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. That's how it works. All right, man. Chris, thanks so much, bro. Thanks for the call. Let's see. Here's why would anyone want to talk about Rosie O'Donnell? Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, Anthony. Good to hear you on the radio again, first off.
Isn't it Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I remember when I met you guys when you were on, XM and doing, terrestrial radio. I was actually in your studio back in December of 2006.
Ooh.
I was actually on the air with you guys.
Well, lucky
I
you.
was the one that sent you that DVD box set years ago.
I got many a box set. I'm assuming it was something perverse that you can't say on broadcast radio?
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. But it was something, something of the era, let's say.
Okay.
But
yeah, anyway,
now,
anywho.
So listening to Rosie O'Donnell about all this, she's obviously stupid. It's funny because today I was driving with my dad, and we were listening to that old Rosie O'Donnell thing with the riding the bus with my sister when she played the retard.
God, yes.
I wanted to ask, in your personal opinion, do you think she sounds stupider now or when she played the retard?
I must say, although I don't agree with using language like that on the radio, but yeah, I think she sounds, what she's saying is much more stupid because she's trying to present it like she knows what she's talking about. At least when she was playing the tard, you knew that dummy was going to say something stupid. But yeah, now she's trying to sound like she knows what she's talking about, and she's a complete idiot. She's delusional. She's manically depressed. She is like insanely depressed. And hopefully weather in Ireland takes care of her.
It's dreary. See, it's like what Jimmy said. I remember that line. He goes, "If she wants to be a good actor, she should play a role like she's acting thin. That would get her an Oscar."
That's my Jimmy. Thank you, my friend. There he goes. And let's see. We could. Oh, it's okay. I'll talk to Joe from South Jersey about Casey Anthony. Joe, what's
Hello,
up?
Sir. Hello, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I just wanted to be the one that calls in and let you know that Casey Anthony now currently has a TikTok, and she is looking for people to help her change her perception of her identity. And I think that a trip to the Compound South and a weekend at Anthony's house and an interview on ABC would be just fantastic for her.
You know, that sounds like a good idea. We get Casey Anthony on the show.
Compound.
Let me run that past my boss. Let me run that past the bosses at the radio station.
I think that would be
and see if
fantastic radio.
They want a baby murderer on my show.
Hey, man, she wants to change that image.
Hey, she was acquitted.
You're the right person to help her.
She was acquitted, Joe. Who am I to say? Who am I to buck the legal system and toss out the jury's decision that she is not guilty?
That is right. I
those
believe that
big-
it would be wonderful if she spent a week at Compound South.
Thank you. I'll look into that, Joe. Thank you, man. Joe from South Jersey. Yeah, there is some baby killers that should probably just go off into obscurity. Like Rosie, she didn't kill anyone, but, like she should kind of mosey off and not bother us with her nonsense. Casey Anthony, yeah. Imagine being involved in a case like that and thinking somehow, some way, you're going to come out of that with people going, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, let's bring her on board. She seems nice. It's you have the stink of a dead baby on you. Not really going to work well in your future endeavors, Ms. Anthony. But, hey, I was pulling for her during the trial. Get it? Thank you. I knew she was going to be found not guilty, though. I don't think she's innocent, but I knew she was going to be found not guilty. And that was many years ago, and I think Twitter was pretty new at the time. And I used to talk about the case and how she'll absolutely, I go, there's really no evidence that she killed anybody. They can't really find this, that she had killed her child. And, the moms, boy, would they get upset with that. She's a baby killer. You're an animal for defending her. Like, I'm watching the trial. I know damn well I don't see enough evidence to convict her. And if the jury isn't just full of emotional broads, some menopausal broads, she'll get off the hook. And indeed, she did. So, I don't know. We will return. What do I got to talk about here? Ilhan, I'm sorry. I said Ilyan. That sounds like a real name. Ilhan Omar blaming white men. Of course. We'll be right back in moments. Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for spending your Sunday evening with me. Yeah, I was going to go to Ilhan Omar, but I just noticed I wanted to talk before that about Donald Trump's interview on NBC. It's getting a lot of heat. The clips are up. That's all you need. Just need those clips. Just the clips. And people, of course, are taking them out of context. They're cutting off right after a word. Not even at the end of a sentence anymore. They cut off in the middle of a sentence. Go, see what he said? It's all criminal. It's criminal, the media. But look, Trump has the balls to go on these news stations that continually trash him. Their whole motivation to getting Trump on their shows is to trash him and present lies about him, to smear him. And I'm not saying this guy's a perfect president. I'm really not saying that. But the media is motivated by their job. They need to be the propaganda machine for the left. They need to knock Trump down and smear him, and that's what they do. So, but, Trump is brave. He'll get up there. He'll talk to anybody. He's already, I would say, probably 100 times more press access than Biden. He's given the media 100 times more of his time speaking to them than Biden did. So, you could say what you want about him, but he's transparent. He'll talk, and he gets in trouble for it because he's Donald Trump. You could take what he says and understand it, or you could take what he says and twist it around. Here he is. This is, I guess he's talking about illegals and due process, and this is a big thing. Because what we've seen on the news is these illegal, but undocumented citizens, wonderful people without passports, whatever you want to call them, do they have due process in the United States? Of course they do. When an illegal is here and he eventually murders somebody, he goes to court. He has a trial in an American court. That's due process. And we've seen this happen. When they're here illegally and they're caught, there is a different type of due process. They don't have to go through the entire rigmarole of a judge and jury trial. They're here illegally. Throw them out. Throw them out. And that's what Trump's been doing. And certain judges around the country and even the Supreme Court have made some decisions that are a little puzzling when it comes to keeping this country safe. And Trump is asked about those things. Do these illegal aliens have a right to due process? And he answers honestly and gets in trouble for it. So here it is. Do illegals have due process?
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr.
I
President?
don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. Some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said. What you said is not what I heard the Supreme Court said. They have a different interpretation.
Is anyone in your administration right now in contact with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia to the United States?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Attorney General that question.
So you see what they grabbed onto. The Constitution, the due process. And Trump goes, I don't know. And what do? Trump says, I don't know if the Constitution says or if they should have due process. I speak Trump. What he obviously was saying there was regarding these cases. Not whether, hey, Trump, is the Constitution something that we should adhere to in this country? I don't know. Screw everyone. No. In these cases, judges rule, even the Supreme Court can rule, but then judges can interpret what was said. A guy named Joe Biden did this when he shelled out a bunch of money for these college tuition reimbursements. The Supreme Court said it was illegal. He said, well, we don't think so, and our lawyers are working on it. And in the interim, we're just going to shell out a bunch of taxpayer money to pay people's college tuitions. So when Trump says, I don't know, he's talking about these particular cases. Are they, do they have a right to due process? Yes, of course. In these immigration cases, I don't know. Trump goes, I don't know. Let's let the lawyers hash it out. I'm not a lawyer. I love the politicians and presidents that profess to know everything and be lawyers. Oh, yeah, of course they do. And here's what should be done. You're not a lawyer. So let's see what the lawyers say about those decisions. And in the interim, get these guys out. Get them out. They were brought in for a reason, and not a good one by the Democrats and Biden, or whoever was working Biden, to screw up the demographics of cities and states and to influence elections. All bad things. So get them out. And until they slap, I think Trump will continue to do this until they slap cuffs on him again, which I love. I love it. Here's another part of this interview. What do we got? 7, 9. Trump is asked about the election being rigged. Can we play that one real quick?
My 4 years were phenomenal, as you know, the stock market. In fact, even though we had to go through the COVID thing, that horrible situation with COVID, we did numbers. And when I gave it over, when I handed it over, the election was rigged. And because of that, we have a lot of problems, by the way. But when I handed it over, what happened? The market was higher than it was previous to COVID coming in. Yeah. Nobody could believe it. The stock market I'm talking about.
I don't want to look back, but you did take your case to court about that.
Back.
You took your case to court about your allegations against the election. Let me ask you,
There's no question about it. The election was rigged. The facts are in, and it's still being litigated. Let's go.
You did take your case to court more than 60 times and didn't win those cases.
I won a lot of court cases.
Just to button that up, though, sir.
That's all we need.
Just to button.
What happened was They wouldn't even hear the cases. Ooh, I almost said it. She's talking about, no, the election wasn't stolen. It was, it went to court. No, the court said, we're not even going to look at this. There was a mountain of evidence of at least some shenanigans going on. You know, legally, if you don't want to say the election was stolen, you could at least say there was a lot of things going on that should have been looked at. The court didn't even want to look at it. And, of course, she's got to chime in. And I love that Trump just goes, no, it was stolen. Well, we don't want to look back at things like that and go, stolen election, stolen. I love it. Good for him. But he'll sit down and do these interviews with these vultures that are doing nothing more than trying to smear this guy. They're trying to get a leg up for the next election for their bosses, which is what the Democrats are, the media's bosses. Ugh, disgusted. We'll be right back with more in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. On this Sunday evening, let's talk to, we're talking about conspiracy theories. It's kind of the theme of the calls this evening, which I love. I like seeing what people think about what's going on, what they believe, what level of conspiracy that people are going to, because a poll came out and said that the majority of Americans, which I guess is over 50%, believes in conspiracies, that there are conspiracies. We're being lied to by a higher power. And it's interesting because some conspiracies can be not much. You don't have to go take a huge leap of faith. And others are so incredibly crazy that you know the person spouting them are slightly insane. So we're talking to people tonight about that. Rick has a good topic on conspiracies. Rick from Jersey. Rick, what's up, my friend?
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes.
I studied climate science, and everything they told us about global warming is a lie.
Yep.
And also I found out that this scam goes back to 1922. If you look up the Washington Post, November 2nd, 1922, there's an article titled Report on Global Warming. And if you read it, it sounds like the 3-time accused rapist Al Gore wrote the article himself.
Yeah, well, they've been using the same notebook for, a century. Pretty much a century. The second the Industrial Revolution happened, the second a puff of smoke came out of an oldie time car or a factory, somehow they got a hold of this climate change thing. And to think that in that short a period of time, the very early or late 1800s into the 1900s, to think that we could have had an effect on the globe in 1922 is insane. But they ran with it. They've been running with it. They've been lying to us about it. Do we have an effect on the climate or the earth? I don't know. But it doesn't seem to be this existential threat they talk about, Rick.
Well, I can tell you right now, man has very little effect on the climate or the temperature of the earth. The sun, total solar irradiance, the Milankovitch cycles, the earth albedo, clouds, ocean currents, all that stuff has much greater power. Man is like, a butterfly fluttering its wings. Oh, sure. Does it affect other things? Oh, sure. How much? That's how much.
Right. We're part of the ecosystem. We're part of, we're one of the many animals that reside on this planet, and every animal has an effect on the planet in some way, shape, or form. But are we so evil and bad and detrimental to the planet Earth? I just don't think we are.
No, it's false because they say it's CO2 is warming the planet.
Right.
Well, if that's the problem, 96% of the CO2 comes from nature, not from man.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if we were to kill every man on the planet and stop and everything, all cars, everything stopped short, still CO2 would be rising because the oceans are warming. Most of it comes from the oceans, a little bit from volcanoes and dying biomass, and a little bit from man, like less than 3%.
And I don't see how no one wants to factor in that everything on this living planet, that especially they like to call it, changes over time. How do you rectify an ice age, a pre-ice age, then an ice age, and then the pullback of the ice age when there was human effect on the planet was nothing? I mean, we were just as we were influencing the earth just as much as a pack of wolves at that point. So how do they rectify those giant changes in the Earth's ecosystem without us being industrialized at all?
They have no answers for those kind of questions.
They don't, Rick.
They just
don't.
demonize you, call you names, call you conspiracy theorists.
Yep. Thank you, man. I do appreciate your call on this Sunday evening. I do want to talk about another idiot. This guy's always in contention for Clown of the Week. Did he win? I think he won maybe once. Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff. Shifty Schiff. This guy, again, one of these guys that should just take his big pumpkin head on his little pencil neck and shove it into, well, the earth, let's say, like an ostrich, and hide. He's an embarrassment. Another one that just keeps getting elected. His constituents are low IQ, I have to think. But they're bringing this old gag up again, the assault weapon ban. This thing comes up every couple of years, I guess. They really try to put something forth with Trump. And by the way, they don't care about the bill passing. This is all a prelude to an election. They want to put a bill out there, have every Republican vote no, and then in the election commercial, they could say, every Republican voted no on the assault weapon ban bill. That's what most of the bills that are put out there are. They're just ammunition for the next election. They write it up. They know it'll never pass, but then they could just get the names of the people that voted no and use it. He wants to see schools shot up to pieces. This man, it's all nonsense. It's all show business, and it's ridiculous. But to choose a bill that absolutely infringes on one of the most basic of rights we have here in America. And remember, rights aren't given to us by the government. We have our rights. They're God-given. The government needs to recognize those rights. Our Bill of Rights and the subsequent amendments to the Constitution, they are what we have as human beings in America. And they're not to be infringed upon. They are to be recognized by the government. You cannot infringe on these rights. But that Second Amendment, man, they are constantly trying to trod all over that one. So once again, here we are. Let's listen to Adam Schiff with the same nonsense about assault weapon bans.
Today I will be introducing the assault weapons ban of 2025, a bill that would ban the sale, manufacture, import, and transfer of military-style assault weapons. Since 2006, there have been 486 mass shootings involving assault weapons. Hundreds and hundreds of Americans have been killed in these mass shootings. This bill is a way to attack that massive threat to our safety and security. Dianne Feinstein introduced the first assault weapons ban 31 years ago after a school shooting in Stockton, California. For 10 years, that bill had a dramatic impact on mass shootings and mass casualties.
Wrong!
But when that expired, mass fatalities and gun shootings went up by 236%. The impact was that dramatic. It's time to pass an assault weapons ban again. It's time to protect our communities from senseless gun violence. It's time to bring back that powerful common sense reform again. It's time for the assault weapons ban of 2025.
Clam up. Oh. First of all, God, there's so many things. 486 mass shootings. 486 mass shootings. What's the criteria for mass shootings? Oh, they can make it sound like it's going up every year when they change what the criteria for a mass shooting is. You know what a lot of mass shootings are? Gangs shooting each other. If more than 2 people are shot, it's considered a mass shooting. So, yeah, they changed the rules and the criteria and the definition, and then the year goes by and they go, look at the increase in mass shootings. Well, you're lying. You're lying about what the mass shooting is. And as far as assault weapons being used in mass shootings, they've also changed that. Most people think, oh, the assault weapons ban means they'll get rid of AR-15s and AK-47s. Weapons of war, military style. What is he talking about? You go off into a war as an American soldier with a commercially available AR-15, you are a dead man walking. That is not a military weapon. It is no different than any other semi-automatic rifle. But they want to make it sound like you could buy a machine gun in a 7-Eleven. With your Slurpee, I swear you can. The single most uneducated people that profess to be so passionate about a cause are the anti-Second Amendment people. They know nothing about the laws, about guns. They don't know how they work. They don't know what to call them. AR and AR-15 stands for assault rifle. No, it doesn't. You're an idiot. But this is what we're dealing with. And when they say banning assault weapons, notice they don't say assault rifles anymore. They say assault weapons because they want to ban a lot more than just AR-15s and AK-47s, which shouldn't be banned anyway. They want to ban pistols. I've seen this happen in New York. They want to ban certain pistols. They want to ban magazines. This is a big thing. Under the assault weapons ban, you will not be able to put more than 7 rounds in a magazine to go into a pistol or a rifle. Some states, under the federal guidelines, I don't even know what this one is, but some are 17, which is hilarious because they don't make magazines that hold 17 rounds. They're, again, lying to you. You get a rifle like an AR-15, you get a 30-round magazine, which they consider a high-capacity magazine. No, it's the standard capacity magazine for an AR-15. So they go 17 rounds. Well, they make 10 rounds. They make a 10-round magazine. So even though they say 17, you're really stuck to 10. Why would you need anything more? Watch some videos. Why would you need a 30-round mag? Watch when 5 guys do a home invasion on your house. Watch when 5 guys pull up, kick your door in, or catch you as you're just running into your door. You want to grab your 10-round magazine and hope you're 50% with every shot? No. Thank you, no. Who are they to tell you how to best protect yourself and your loved ones? The ball's on all these politicians to tell you as they go around with armed security. The armed security's driving their big SUVs. You're paying for it. And then you want to buy a weapon, a tool that is best suited to protect yourself and your loved ones. You want to buy it. And they tell you you can't. But if you don't fork over the money for their security, you'll go to jail. How do you like that? Isn't that awesome? Adam Schiff. So they change what an assault weapon is, and now you're screwed. You either they go, oh, well, you're grandfathered in. That's another thing they try to pull. If you own an assault weapon, you get to keep it. We're not taking your guns away. This is the way that they get around when they try to pull this garbage, that people go, they're on a gun grab. They're trying to confiscate your weapons, completely infringing on the Second Amendment. And they go, we're not taking your guns away. You could keep your AR-15s. Oh, really? Yeah, 5-round mag, no grip, cut the grip off. You're not even allowed with a magazine. Don't put a foregrip on that thing. Try to put a laser sight on it. An adjustable stock? Get out of here. ATF, get that guy. They're literally taking your guns away. Don't let them fool you. That's always been their motive. How the hell are they supposed to exercise their what's the goddamn word I'm looking for? Exercise their authority. That's the word. Damn it. How are they supposed to exercise their authority over you when you're armed? The forefathers coming up with an armed populace is just brilliant. It's an amazing thing. They fought a revolutionary war against a government that did not want an armed populace. And then they realized how unbelievably effective an armed populace is in overturning tyranny, a tyrannical government or kingdom. And ever since then, they've seemed to want to take that away. And you really have to think why. Why would they want to do that? Why the gun control thing? I don't think there's many people that like the fact that people get shot, a lot of people on a yearly basis here in this country. And I'll be honest, some people, I don't really care that much about if they get shot. If they want to play these games where shooting each other seems to be the way that they get over, and that's kind of their lot in life. Yeah, I don't mind. But for the most part, people aren't just shooting each other. Legal, law-abiding citizens that want to exercise their Second Amendment rights are not just shooting each other. So maybe we should do something about the problem instead of taking the rights of the American people and trampling them when it specifically says shall not be infringed in the Constitution. So Adam Schiff, GFYS, I think we can say that on radio. And it's just another gimmick. It's a way that the bill won't pass, And when the election comes around in a couple of years, they'll go, look who didn't vote for an assault weapon ban. Screw off. Anyway, we'll be back in moments with more of your calls. Give us a call. The Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It certainly is the Anthony Cumia Show, and we appreciate your support. Let's go back to the phones. We're talking conspiracies. This is Ken from the Isle of Long. Ken, what's up?
And welcome home. Go Buchanan. Go Buchanan. Go
Oh,
Buchanan.
it's
Go Pack. Go. Go Pack. Go. Go Pack.
It's him again. Who's that, Steve? Steve from New York? Yeah, it happens. What are you going to do? Get off my phone, you swatchim. I used to love how Bob Grant handled those calls. Is this Rex? Rex from Florida? What's up, Rex?
Hey, Ant, how you doing?
Good, man.
So all these conspiracies, I have a conspiracy of my own about why they're so popular now.
Yeah.
It's all generational. I am in the same age group as you, and I used to think like you. Oh, the government wouldn't lie about that. Why?
Yeah.
Why would
Pathetic.
they do that?
Pathetic
And then
of
I
us.
think about my father, who was a Navy Seabee. He would never believe the government would do anything like that.
Yeah,
You know,
no way. No way, not
Right.
that generation.
And
You know,
then
they had a
my
vested interest, too. It's one that, let me just quickly say this, Rex. Please stay on the line, and I want to hear what you have to say. But the greatest generation, or even a little after that, maybe really older boomers, because I think that's where my parents came in. No, maybe they were the greatest. Who the hell knows? But, yeah, they had such a vested interest in the government not lying to them. They literally watched their friends and their family members go off and be killed in these unbelievable giant wars of just meat grinders. So the thought that the government was lying to them, you could not convince them of that. They had given too much. And the further we get away from those situations, the more people will question the government because they don't really care about it. They haven't gone through anything like that where they need to believe in the government or everything that they've ever lived was a lie.
Right. Well, yeah, and then like my grandfather fought in World War I, so it was even more. They were each older
You're like
generation-
Lieutenant Dan. You should go into a war. Everybody that your grandparents, everyone was in a war. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank
God,
them
that's
for
me.
their Thank you for your service.
Great, I'm going to end up with no legs. Awesome. So each generation going back further had a more deeper belief in what the founding fathers meant for this country. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so as we get younger and we learn more, because back in 1940, there was no Twitter, there was no news other than the radio. So there wasn't this free exchange of beliefs, ideas, people talking about this, talking about that.
I'm going to post a meme about the war.
Right. Exactly.
Here's my best gal on OnlyFans. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as each generation, as we get older, I mean, farther away from the creation of our country, the shine falls off. The shine falls off. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
What the intentions were and what it has become are two completely different things. I mean, look at our politicians. There was one time we had politicians that didn't become politicians as a job. Now every politician is just their job.
You know, it's amazing to look into how politicians used to operate. You get a farmer in some little enclave of the United States, and they would kind of appoint him. Hey, Bob's a good guy. He could speak well. Let him go to the state capital and talk about our concerns. And he would become the representative of this local enclave, and then the representative a little higher than him would take up him and these other representatives that would send. And eventually it made it up to Washington, where they would go, hey, here's the concerns of these people. They didn't want to be politicians. It was a sacrifice. When these politicians these days, they're sitting on $200 million that they somehow made off a $200,000 salary, and when they retire, they go, the sacrifice of public service that this wonderful person made. They used to have to leave their jobs and their farms and their stores or whatever they were doing and literally sacrifice. Now they stay in like a pope. They stay in office till they drop dead and make millions of money for their crime families.
Right. Well, that's why the founding fathers made the Senate 6 years and the House 2 years.
Yeah.
The House was designed to be that shop owner, that farmer,
right,
that could sacrifice 2 years of their life.
2 years.
Their community, their community, their government to serve and then come back.
They weren't supposed to keep running. They weren't supposed to keep running for the same office forever.
Right, and the Senate was designed for the wealthy landowners where they could take 6 years away from home to spend in Washington. That's why the Senate always dealt with the foreign affairs and the House always dealt with the local stuff.
Yep. And now look at us. Now look at us. They stay in for life, these criminals.
Leeches. They just like I said, it's the how everything has changed about how we look and feel about our country and how it's supposed to work.
Yep. I love it. Thank you, Rex. Your state's insane, by the way. You have a mental state down there in Florida. I was down there, and I love Florida, but it is crazy. You people are nuts down there.
Hey,
I love it.
It's the heat and the tourism that drives me crazy.
I hear you. Thank you, Rex. Good hearing from you,
Take
bro.
care.
Later. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday. Don't forget, we're here like every week. That's the God's honest truth, I swear to you. And we'll be back next Sunday, 8 p.m. Join us then, won't you? Until then, have yourselves a great week. We love you. Later.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Greg Kelly here with an urgent retirement warning. President Trump's return is set to usher in a new golden age, but growing trade tensions and China's ruthless attack on the dollar have rattled the markets. That's why Warren Buffett just dumped $133 billion in stocks. And so too have Jeff Bezos, Larry Page, and even Jamie Dimon, CEO of the world's largest bank. That's why thousands of informed IRA and 401k savers are now shielding their savings with gold. And the experts at Colonial Metals Group are the only folks I trust to help you to do the exact same thing, especially now after Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki warned of a coming market crash. So visit freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186. You'll get a free gold guide on how to bulletproof your wealth with gold tax-free. Plus, see if you qualify for a free home safe and as much as $7,500 in free silver. Once again, that's freegoldguide.com/Kelly.